Okay, what we're going to do today is we're just going to start with Chapter 1. So if you can go to your Chapter 1 page, and we're going to start by writing up top. There are some key words that we have to make sure we remember, and that's bisect. And remember, when you bisect something, you cut it in half. So bisecting is cutting in half. The next vocabulary word we need to remember is complementary. And remember, angles are complementary when they add up to 90. So two angles that add up to 90 degrees. And then supplementary is when you have two angles that add up to 180. Let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit. There we go. So two angles that add up to 180. We also had some other special angles or some angle pairs that we need to know. The first one was vertical. And vertical angles are ones like this, where I have the top and the bottom, and those are equal. So if the top is 75, the bottom is 75. If the left is 28, then the right is 28. So the first type we have is vertical angles, which are equal. The next thing we have is adjacent. And we've gotten a lot of adjacent with right triangles recently, but adjacent just means next to each other. So I have two angles. These angles are next to each other. Not necessarily equal, but they are adjacent. They're next to each other. And then the last angle pair we need to know is something called a linear pair. And remember, a linear pair is what it sounds like. It's a pair of angles that make a line. So it's two angles next to each other that make a line. Remember, we did this half semicircle or this half circle to help you remember things. And so if this angle was 120, then that means this one's left to be 60, because linear pairs equal 180. The next topic we have is segment addition, and that's things like A is, oh, you can't see that, between B and C. And remember, what happens there is, draw my picture, somewhere I put A in between B and C, and then I put my numbers on my picture. So if I had something like a 5 and a 12, then the whole thing would be 5 plus 12, which is 17. Remember, this is one small piece plus the other small piece equals the whole thing. In addition to segment addition, we had angle addition, which B is in the interior. Of angle ACD. And so I draw angle ACD, ACD. Then I throw B somewhere inside. Doesn't matter. It just says it's in the interior. And so this would be this small angle 20 plus this big angle 10 would equal the whole thing. So 20 plus 10 is 30. So it's the same idea, but dealing with angles, and that's just two small angles add up to give you the big angle. The only other thing that we had in this lesson, and I want to make sure you know, is the distance formula. And the distance formula is this y2 minus y1 squared and x2 minus x1 squared. And we actually have the sign for the distance formula on the board. It's the big green poster, so you will not have to memorize this. So that's it for Chapter 1. We did a lot of basics where we were drawing pictures and learning what things meant. Make sure you know the difference between a line array and a line segment. And then when you're doing segment and angle addition problems, remember, one small piece plus the other small piece is the whole thing.